oh my God, wow, there's just bad type everywhere. And then you go on like a bad type rant, and then you realize like, okay, that's just like a thing, and we're gonna have to get over that. But
thank you for being a pal.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to PentoolPals, a friendly graphic design podcast between two graphic designers. My name is Canvas Cam of Canvas Design Company.
And I'm Cole from Cole Up Design. Thank you for joining us on week 11 of PentoolPals.
Damn. Just stacking those numbers up, baby.
Something that's so crazy about this week is how many of you have started to get involved with Pal of the Week. I mean, it has been so cool to see your guys' artwork and submissions. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Thank you for joining and getting involved.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Like, at first it was this idea that I thought like, oh, maybe this is just kind of a corny idea. But now people are like engaging into it. They understand like the vision of it. And I'm stoked to see everybody's creations like one after another. There was like 4 in one day.
It was crazy.
It just blew me away. So
yeah, it was
keep
nuts.
doing that. I want to keep seeing these awesome designs. So keep tagging us.
Yeah, and the power of the pod is just getting bigger. That's our goal here. We just really want to make a community of friendly graphic designers, and that's what's happening here. So me and Cam are just super fucking stoked.
Yeah, the kind of character illustrations of us on the card, that was
Yeah, can we put that up here? Yeah, can we put that up here?
I'm gonna put this guy up on here because that just blew me away. Hummingbear PDX, dude, you killed it. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. I've never seen a character illustration of myself unless I did it, and so I was blown away. I'm just blown away.
I mean, we can also do the call outs for each person if we're gonna do that too. So Glenn Miranda at GlennMear_brand did an awesome PentoolPals graphic. We'll show that here. There's also Zach Newton from our last week's show made an amazing artwork.
Incredible.
Yeah, just super stoked to see that. And there was also,
we've got Hauser Design. He did a really sick like sword badge lockup. That was dope. We've got Arizona Illustrator. She did like a podcast illustration of a microphone. That was really sweet. Jose Manzo, he did a freaking awesome stamp. Awesome. And he has this like subtle little texture in all of his designs that I really like. Last week's Pal of the Week, Mark, he did a cool little like badge. He had a little protractor thing on the P.
We're super stoked for this week's episode. We have another amazing artist coming onto the show, Lisa Champ from at Redhalftone. She has some amazing work. I can't wait to chat it up with her, Cam.
Yeah, man, I'm really stoked. I did a little bit of a deep dive on her to prep this episode, and she's just fascinating. She is the co-founder of Untitled Era. It's a boutique creative studio in New York, and owner of Redhalftone. She's got like a really amazing traditional tattoo style, but I use halftones. She uses them in red because she likes the red more than you do.
And without further ado, Lisa Champ from at Redhalftone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Woo!
yeah, great to be here, guys. I'm super excited. So yeah,
Well, it's awesome to have you on the podcast and hear a bit more about your story. You know, we have a bit of a time zone difference, so thanks for accommodating later in the day for you, a little morning session for us. But how's everything in New York right now?
It's going good. It's actually nice here. This is like the time of year where like it's not too hot and it's not too cold, so it's like super perfect. So I'm stoked.
Nice.
The art community out there, I would say, is totally different from like basically anywhere. You guys have, a massive amount of talent out there. So you want to tell us a little bit more about the community and the New York scene?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say like there's just so many communities that you can't really like say that.
Yeah, of course. Right.
And specify. You know, it's you kind of have like the design community a bit, like, but there's lots of those. Then there's kind of like the street art community, which is actually really cool.
Yeah.
I would say that like even though I'm like traditional in the sense of like I went to art school and stuff, you know, I have friends that are designers and, you know, professionals like that. But then it's like there's also like the street art kind of like almost like self-taught people, and like those people are a lot of fun too. So
Yeah.
like melting pot of like a lot of different people and a lot of from like different backgrounds, and they all do different things. So it's cool for that, you know.
Yeah, I read Contino's book, and he talks a lot about, you know, the street art and how, you know, that's like the lifeblood of New York. You know, anywhere you go, there's like some form of like art up on the wall, whether it be like graffiti or something like that. I think that art style is so beautiful, you know?
Yeah, like it's actually really cool because like if you're just you have to get out of your apartment and just like walk around, and like you'll find inspiration like anywhere. And I think that's like the great thing. And just stuff changes all the time here. So like something might be up one day and then like a few weeks later, a month later, it's gone, you know? So like you have to see it while it's there basically. So
that's so cool,
you know?
And you said that you traditionally, or that you had went to art school, have your education. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about, you know, your start of art and how you kind of got into it and progression?
Yeah, so like I think most people, I had no idea what graphic design was before school. Even though it's like everywhere and like you actually can't get away from it, it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
But
once you got bit by the graphic design bug, I mean, like I feel like I can't drive down the street without trying to like know which typeface, what typeface or whatever
every day.
Yeah, it's like this kind of like awakening that I think you hit, like especially like when you start learning about it in college, you're like, oh my God, wow, there's just bad type everywhere. And then you go on like a bad type rant, and then you realize like, okay, that's just like a thing and we're gonna have to get over that. But like
I remember the first time I was driving down the street and I had someone in my car and I went on a bad type rant, and I realized I'm the only person that cares. It's a curse, man. Like I can't not look at anything. Like my dad has this story, because my dad was a traditional sign painter, and he blamed it on bad sign work, but he looked to the side to check out this janky window, and he rear-ended another car. And I feel like that's gonna happen to me someday, you know.
Let's hope not.
Looking at bad artwork and
let's hope not. I don't want to lose my other pal on the chat. Don't crash into any car. But
yeah, we're gonna have to get you like blinders or something. Like, don't look at that.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, so I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. I actually I'm from Utica, New York originally, which is like upstate New York. And they have a campus there, so I did my first 2 years there. It's like their satellite campus. Then I finished my last 2 in Brooklyn. But while I was in college, I was obviously a really broke student. So I did a lot of freelance work, and like that kind of got me like, it's like a little bit different. Like I feel like there's this big disconnect between school and like getting a job. School is great because it's like they try and teach you to be creative. So like sky's the limit. And then when you get to working with a client, they're like, they have all these boundaries and stuff, and you have to do what's great for them. You have to meet their goal and stuff. So that was kind of like a good introduction for me. And it was also like a good way to start like seeing like, oh, I can use my skills to make some money too. So that's good. Yeah, I did a lot of that while in school, and I had a couple internships. And basically from like right after I graduated, I was still in an internship, and you know, like they were like, oh, we're gonna hire you full time and stuff, and like promising that, and like it's not happening, and like, you know, New York City's not cheap. So I'm like, oh my God, I need to find a job or something. I need to find something that pays. And I ended up getting hired by actually one of the teachers that I had at Pratt. Just like it was still on a freelance basis and always was. So actually I've never had like a full-time salary job still to this day. I've always been contract. So I think that's pretty cool. It's like something that's, you know, keep up. So I worked at his studio for like 2 years, and then me and my partner Mike started Untitled Era in 2013, and like
I was just about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing since then. But yeah.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit more about Untitled Era. I did a deep dive.
Yeah, I did.
And so
I looked into
I was like owner of Redhalftone, co-founder of Untitled Era. Yeah, tell us about Untitled Era and what you guys are about there.
Yeah, so we started, like, I've always done freelance work, like I said, like even when I was freelancing for studios, I was still like freelancing for just like clients, like random, like one-off clients basically. And like we just started getting more and more work. At that time, like web design was like on the up because like the iPhone came out and they killed Flash, and like everyone's like, oh my god, I need a responsive website. And like my partner Mike is a developer, and I was like, well, I'll just design the site. So like we started doing a lot of that, and that's kind of like how we got a lot of clients in the beginning because of that like massive need. But so yeah, we started off mostly actually doing like a lot of websites and like UI and stuff. Even though both of us went to school for like basically graphic design and branding, so we didn't actually do a lot of that in the very beginning. Like the first like 3 years, like we just did websites basically.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we eventually, started getting more clients, and like we now like pretty much just do everything. Like we still do like design and development, but we're more like focused on branding now, packaging, illustration, like pretty much the whole wheelhouse. We're actually starting to do studio photography now too, so that's
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Just kind of like one punch, you can get it all done.
Yeah, like clients like that too, though, because like if you're gonna create their branding and stuff, and you're gonna make their packaging, well, now they need it shot, and now they need a website. So it's like it's easier to get somebody who's got the full vision. So
yeah, exactly. That's an advantage that you guys have over a lot of designers, because like I still get people going, well, don't you take photos of it? And can you take photos of my t-shirt? And like, can you screen print? I'm just like, I'm just a designer guy. Like,
Lisa, you bring up a super good point, and having that advantage of being able to take it from the design to the website to every touch point that the company's going to have is such a leg up. And especially with the consistency of the brand, because sometimes you can go give your designs out in a brand book to someone and they go take it what they will, and they just like ruin it and don't have all the correct touch points, and everything isn't exactly how you envisioned it. But you have that advantage now of just being able to have it like right how you want it, your vision, your everything, and then just saw it all the way through.
Yeah, and I mean that's like what we obviously wanted from the get-go, is like that full kind of like almost control in a way, because it's like, I mean, how much like it breaks your heart to see like something you designed just like totally fall apart. It's just awful.
Nothing breaks my heart more than seeing my baby, my love that I hand off, and then they invert a graphic that wasn't supposed to be inverted and printed on a white t-shirt. So having the full control has got to be just so satisfying.
So if I'm right with what I'm saying, like Untitled Era is your agency, boutique agency, correct? And then your Redhalftone would be your own art account. Tell us a little bit more about how you developed your Redhalftone style and your awesome colorways and how locked up all your design work is.
Yes, tell us why you like red more than we do.
All right. Actually, funny story about that. So when I was little, I loved the color green. It was like my favorite color. And I was in like first grade, and we had this St. Patrick's party, and everybody had to bring green food in. So like, it was the first time I ever had like pistachio pudding. No idea what it was, but like I was like, I'm gonna try it because like this is awesome. Everything is green. And like I got so sick. Like all my like puke was green, and I was I hate green. Like it made me like hate green. And I was like, I like red now, which is like the complementary color. So it kind of started there when I was little.
Oh yeah,
this went way back. This was
this is way back.
This was an emotional decision. This was not
it's true. But yes, those kind of like just like in the back of my mind all the time. But Yeah, so I kind of feel like Jekyll and Hyde a little bit because like everybody knows me for like Redhalftone on the internet, but like but I make all my money on Title Era basically. Like that's my bread and butter. Like Redhalftone's kind of like after hours in a way. But so I started Redhalftone actually because I started it in 2015. Untitled Era was 2013, and then Redhalftone was 2015. And the reason is because like like when you get like client work and you're just like it's like pays the bills, but you're not like super excited about it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just had like a really long span of that, and I was like, dude, I like hate this. Like I'm not having fun anymore. And so I was like, I just need to start doing something that I like, and that's kind of where Redhalftone started, because I was like, I'm just gonna draw some stuff that I like. I'm gonna post it and like see what happens, and like really like that was the point. Obviously you're not a designer if you don't want to design some apparel and some like merch and stuff. And like I'm gonna get in and do that too. Like I'm gonna have that fun. So
yeah, I think that so many people can resonate with that in itself. Like me and Cam especially. I right after college, I went right into a creative agency that was a bit less creative than I initially wanted to be a part of. And so that was the birth of my own personal account and just putting out work that we wanted to see. And me and Cam say on the podcast all the time that you got to put out the work that you want to receive as well. So that's kind of rolled into how, the client base happens. But people resonating with the work that you want to put out, there's no better feeling, and getting the creative juices like flowing where you maybe previously weren't able to have that outlet is the best.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. Like, I think it's funny you brought up like the 2 account things. Like, I kind of hate that in a way, because like I always feel like I'm trying to, hit one and then do the other. Like Untitled Era's account, like Instagram account, is definitely like not as loved or anything, because like we just are not consistent about it. But it's like with client work, it's really hard, because like you got to do the client work and then you have to present it in a way that's like presentable, fun for people to look at and get excited about. So like it always kind of falls by the wayside, and then you get new clients and you're like, well, I don't have time for that right now, like I need to work on a new client work. So but I mean, Redhalftone's a little bit easier in a way, because it's like, for me, it's like just illustration. There's like, oh, you export the JPEG and then you post it, like it's not involved or anything.
Yeah, there's less what would you say? There's less responsibility behind it, All you have to do is just a quick export. I wish you could just export it straight to Instagram from Illustrator. That'd be beautiful.
Maybe you're onto something, Cam.
More. I know, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Instagram, are you listening?
Yeah.
We want your money.
Yeah, literally next month, it's all of a sudden a new feature.
Herman, sorry guys, my dog has discovered the window.
But Lisa, did you start like as a hand-drawn artist, or were you, traditionally into tattoo style for a long time, or was this something that you fell into at a later point in your life?
I mean, I started drawing as a kid. I think a lot of people who do design probably did. I actually, when I was like a teenager, I wanted to be a tattoo artist. I just thought like all the bands I was listening to, like everybody's totally tattooed, and I was like, that's sick. I want to do that, and like I can draw, so I should do that. But I don't know. Like I actually in high school we like got to do a job shadow for somebody. And I chose a tattoo artist, and like the guy just complained the whole time about how it was the worst thing. I was like, dude, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. And like looking back, like he's right. Like I get it, clients suck, but like that's not like the first thing you want to tell somebody who's like, excited, like your other job sucks. Like,
right. Yeah, you get into like your first graphic design position, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, I just hate my job." You're like, "Oh wow, this is obviously something It's like, why would I want to be a part of that?" Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
That's so funny. I wanted to be a tattoo artist as well. That was my whole upbringing, was like American traditional tattooing and stuff. That's another reason why I like really kind of gravitated towards your art and your account, because it was just like it was familiar. But the reason I didn't pursue tattooing was because I didn't want to be a shop bitch for like 2 years before I started making money. I was like, I'm in college. At the time, I was very religious. I'm working at this coffee shop. I need to make money now.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, it's so true. It's kind of sad actually that it kind of like, I feel like it kind of crushes some people in a way. Like it's really hard to break through like any kind of art industry in a way. Like design's absolutely easier, but like even when I was like looking for internships and like I'm like dating myself here, but like back in like 2010 and 11 and stuff, like people just didn't want to pay you. And like it was kind of like this weird thing. Like I think they actually made a law a few years later, like New York State did, and they're like, you need to pay your interns. Like they can't replace like somebody who's like a junior role or a whatever role at your company. Like they basically are going to be useless to you, but you have to pay them, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic that they put that into place because sorry, freaking Herman. But no, that's awesome because there's like horror stories of, you know, people being in internships for years and years and not making any money or making very little money. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just been scrolling through your Instagram page, like as you're talking, just admiring some of your work. But I was curious if did you make anything to present, or like we could scroll through it on the screen and share and kind of go through some of your pieces.
Yeah, so I made some stuff. Let me pull it up. I'll share my screen. So yeah, so this is like the stuff that everybody knows me for, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Not I guess. You're like, yeah, this is mine.
Yeah. You know, it's definitely like, this is like less design and like more like me always like swimming in like more of the art sort of world. It's like more self-expression than anything. But you know, still definitely rooted in design, like everything is for me. But yeah, so like actually, what was really cool, I got an opportunity in February 2020, like right before the pandemic actually. I normally like, I don't get any work through Instagram, but I've gotten interesting opportunities through Instagram. This was one of those. So this company, Link NYC, they have like all these kiosks throughout the city. They're like, I think they're just like for internet and making calls and stuff. But they make their money through like advertising. But they also work with artists, which is cool. And they were like, hey, it's Valentine's Day. It's like a week before Valentine's Day. They're like, do you want to do like, you know, 3 illustrations and like they'll be around the city? And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. But so yeah, I got to do 3 illustrations that like gave me complete freedom. They just had to be like New York City plus Valentine's Day. That was like, you know, the requirement. And they were up for about 2 weeks or so.
That's awesome.
All around like the boroughs. So yeah,
this is like legal street art, you know?
Yeah.
You get to still have your art around New York City, but in a way that isn't like graffitiing places, right? You made it look super nice. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly that. So that was cool. You know, I've had a couple other like billboard opportunities and stuff with Outfront. I'm pretty good friends with those guys now. So yeah, I've done a lot of interesting like digital billboards, I guess. And then like I also just do like the apparel and like merch stuff. So that's kind of
amazing.
What I've been doing. I got to do another shirt. I actually have been like slacking. It's been like a year since I've designed a shirt, and everyone's like, "Where's your shirts? I need a new one."
I'm going through that right now. I just ran out of my sink or swim tees, and people are like, well, why aren't you putting out merch right now?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, bitch, I'm busy.
Exactly. I'm like, the clients are knocking right now. Sorry, guys. I need to make some money right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How'd you do this collab with Vans?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting story actually. So Vans has a like a shoe customizer, and like you can upload artwork to it. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna upload mine, whatever. So I did it because I was like, I love Vans. Like I've worn Vans forever. It's like the only shoe I wear basically. And I like, you know, did a whole photo shoot with it and everything and had fun. And everyone's like, I want to buy those shoes. And I was like, okay. So I sent him a link to the customizer, you know, with everything. And Vans actually like, they thought it was spam. So they shut the whole thing down. And I like, yeah, it was like crazy. And so like, I got like, my image was blacklisted. Like you couldn't upload that image.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I reached out to them, and like, it took like 3 weeks, and they're like, okay, fine. But like, you can't like resell our shoe. And I was like, I'm like sending people links. I'm like actually helping your cause, not mine.
Yeah,
like, right. But so yeah, it was kind of like weird, but I don't know. They're like kind of shitty about it, but I don't know.
They look amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally get the whole like gotta protect your brand. I mean, that's kind of like a situation I found myself in too. Just like people started ripping my work off, so I need to like trademark my name and shit. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
people are shameless, man. Like when it comes to ripping stuff off, there's I mean, I'm wearing the beanie from P&Co, but people will rip off like P&Co designs and try to like sell it on their own store or something like that. People are savages, man.
I know. It's like the worst part of our industry is just especially with the design world, because I mean in other places, like if you have to repaint something, you actually have to be like a really talented painter, right, to go and recreate it. But with the graphic design, you have image trace, you have different sources that's somewhat easy to recreate.
Yeah,
that's just the shit end of the stick. But we got to look on the bright side and think that what we're doing is right anyways. And I guess and the worst part of it is still light, because if you're getting ripped off, you're doing something right. People like your work.
Yeah,
that's so true. Yeah, they're like, it's like the highest form of flattery or whatever. And I mean, that's true, but it's so frustrating.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah. So like, I mean, that's kind of like Redhalftone. I'll show some of my Untitled Era work. So I'm the only designer at Untitled Era. There's only two of us, even though we've had last, but like, I don't know, we're just like, we keep it small. It's cool. Sweet.
I've seen this like on your page, and I'm so excited for you to share it, because I think that this particular case study was so cool.
Yeah.
So this was actually a really cool client. We got to work with them from the very beginning. So like we did the logo and everything like before they had anything at all. So we worked with them on that first, and then we went into the packaging. Actually, packaging wise, we did these like whole bean tins.
So cool! It's so
cool.
Thanks. Yeah. So like they're a coffee company, Drive Coffee, and they started off selling whole bean coffee first, and like obviously the whole theme is cars, but it's beyond cars. Like a lot of the stuff is named after places or just like rallies and races and things like that, or race car drivers. There's a lot more cans than this, but yeah, these were some of the like original ones and some of the kind of cooler ones in my opinion. But yeah, so it was like a lot of fun to design this, and then he wanted to start getting into like cold brew, and so then I got to design a can, which
that's
of course,
awesome.
I feel like every designer wants to design like a beer can, right? So it's like I didn't get beer, but I got coffee, and I feel like that's just as cool. But
I agree. I think that it's two. Cool. I think it's either. I think it's both. I want to design coffee and beer and any sort of alcoholic drink, to be honest. But
yeah.
I agree. I feel like everyone gets super stoked when you get to do a can design of any sort.
Yeah,
these are awesome. These are like, they're just so clean, and I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because like they did a lot of Facebook ads and stuff, and it would be really interesting to like read the comments on these, because people would just like comment about the design. So of course I'm like, hawking that. Like, what are they saying?
Yeah. I'm a comment person too. I'll go in there and I'll see what anybody is saying.
Yeah, it's like you can't help yourself. You're just
and I'll go like it too. I'll go like it just so they know that I've seen it.
That's awesome. But yeah, so like this was a lot of fun. I'm still working with them. Like they obviously like release new stuff all the time. The Monaco Mocha and the Mojave Latte just like came out a few weeks ago. So that was
cool.
Really cool.
I like that gradient. It's very subtle from the bottom, like right like below. Yeah, it's awesome. I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, that was like because like obviously it's about the Mojave Desert, and we're like, how do we like kind of convey that? We've never done gradients before. So we're like, we'll keep it super subtle, but I kind of like it. I feel like we could do more of that too, even.
Yeah, because it's very different. It stands out from the rest because the rest of them are just like clean, solid background. But yeah, this one definitely has a little bit more of a drive behind it. No pun intended, but
nice, Cam.
Thank you.
But yeah, so this is also one of those cool projects because it's like we get to do the photography for it too. So like we're doing like the studio stuff, and it's really like all encompassing. Yeah, so like this was another actually this project's pretty interesting. So Stellar Factory, Matt from Stellar Factory reached out to me originally just to like do an illustration, kind of like similar to what I do with Redhalftone. So this was kind of like that meeting between Redhalftone and Untitled Era. Obviously, like it's a bunch of monoline illustrations, so it's definitely like kind of a nice mashup. Like this is kind of the direction I would love to go, like with the kind of stuff that I'm making. So of course, it's another one of those projects where it's like everybody wants to design a card deck. So like I got to check that one off the bucket list.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was a lot of work, designing all the cards. But yeah, we have like, I think there's like 16 face cards, and like, so I drew a whole bunch of different like robots. They're like all testing games in a factory. That's like kind of the idea behind it.
That's so sick.
It's amazing. That's a big project to take on too. All those illustrations, all of the packaging design itself. And you definitely were able to have some fun with like your Redhalftone sort of style, but they were able to, shift it with some new colorways, but it's definitely showing through here. Yeah.
Now, when a project like this, like gets thrown on your lap, are you like terrified? Because I'd be terrified. I'd be like, what? This much front and back?
Yeah, like, well, because like when I was like trying to estimate it, I was like, how much work is this actually going to be? It's like really sort of hard to think about if you haven't like done that much illustration first. So like there was kind of that. I don't know, for me, projects like the first round of anything is always like if it's a new client too, I'm like, I don't know them yet. Like I don't know how to read them totally yet. And I don't know what the reaction is going to be. So like luckily I'd already worked with Matt on a project once. So it was like, if this was the first project, it would have been like a lot more like, oh shit, like, I don't know. But that it made it a little bit easier, but it was definitely like a bit daunting, like, I don't know. It's a lot of
crazy. It's crazy because I've had some of my like craziest design projects be for people I'm comfortable with. And the only reason I wasn't scared of it is because I trusted their ideas and trusted their process. If you and your client can jive off of each other really, really well, that's when like the end result's going to be killer. Now, if you're not familiar with this person and how they operate, their ideas will just be mush at the end.
Yeah, but if this project them in great. If they're going to hit you with multiple rounds of changes, or if they're usually pretty open to your ideas. And if I went to a returning client that has made numerous changes in the past and wanted 50 variations of playing cards, I'd probably say, like, here's a very high price because I know what's coming at me. Like after what you did to me last time.
Absolutely. And I think like, that's kind of like if somebody new approached me now to do playing cards, like, I don't know, me personally, like with process, like I always try to be really like, I give people like a sample, like I'll never like, so when I did these, like I only did like a couple face cards. I was like, okay, we're going to do like a Jack, King, and Queen, but we're going to do one of each. And like,
you're make sure you like it first.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, I won't necessarily do like wild variations. Like I'll try to like narrow in on what they're looking for first, like in our kind of like, discovery kind of talk. And like I want examples and stuff like that. Cause it's like, I'm not going to illustrate in like one style and then something wildly different. Like there's just no need for that. Basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
But so this was a really fun project. Really happy with how that came out.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. And then I'll do wild stuff like wrapping a radical. So this was a project for Classic Car Club, and I've worked with them. They were one of my first clients, and like we do everything for them. So like again, this was just sort of like another random thing to do for them, basically.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because I don't know. It's always cool to see your work on like a physical object or like a tangible object. So this was pretty wild. So yeah, like again, like I feel like I have like a lot of different styles, but I do favor like my kind of like Redhalftone style. But yeah.
For sure.
I think that's stayed a pretty consistent theme with almost every guest we've had on, where, you know, we create everything digitally, and we're pretty comfortable in that space. But to finally see our digital artwork onto something physical is where a lot of us get really excited. So right there with you.
Totally. But
did you take this photo as well? Like, did you have this car in studio?
Yes.
Is this a mock-up or a studio shot?
I personally didn't take the photo.
Okay.
My brother is a videographer and photographer, and then my partner Mike, he took this photo.
Okay.
The club has a big showroom, so they kind of like they lit it and everything. Like the showroom was pretty dark, and they had like the lights at that, and like you know, you need a big space when you're going to shoot something massive like that. So luckily, we were just able to use the showroom for it, because otherwise, like, there's just no way.
That's all you got about the car. Is there other projects that you want to show, or is that all you had?
I mean, that's all I have right now.
Okay.
That's all I prepared, but.
No worries. We didn't mean to. We won't. We just want to keep seeing more of your work. But
you here all day looking at stuff.
Hell yeah! I've learned about you know, especially with having guests on, we kind of take. At least me, I've been taking little things and applying it to like my own work, which that's why I love doing this podcast, and I love like talking to people.
Cool. Yeah. No, actually, I think that's really cool about what you guys are doing, because I feel like you know, you don't necessarily get to hear from a lot of like practicing designers, or like designers that are just kind of like in the trenches. Like you always hear like the A-list designers, like you have your Aaron Draftlins and Jessica Walsh's and stuff, and it's like, it's cool, they're inspiring people, and there's a lot to come from them, but it's like the gap between somebody starting out and them is just like, there's so much to fill in between.
100%.
You know?
And I think it's cool having, you know, having guests that aren't in the spotlight, you know, necessarily, because I feel like it's more real. Like, I would love to have Draplin on here, but he's definitely not a target that I'm going after. Like we're going for people who, like you said, are in the trenches. Like, we're just figuring out this thing.
Yeah. And I would also say that we, as the design community, like, are pretty tight knit. We know, you know, a lot of people. We all follow really similar people and in the space, and it's different. Like in the design community, a lot of us stay behind the screens. You know, we aren't really quick to jump in front and talk every day and chat. And I think a lot of us, it's like, it's rare to have a lot of design friends growing up, because it's kind of a tight niche. And so what we're stoked that PentoolPals is doing is just allowing that community to kind of seamlessly come together in a way that we're able to chat and talk and hear people's story, which hasn't really been done a lot.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, it's interesting. Like, kind of going back to that original like community question. I think what's really cool, what I found on Instagram, like obviously there is a whole community, and like I kind of just stumbled upon it and everything, and like it's one of those things, like it's there, but like you'll never see it unless you're like interacting kind of with like the right people, I guess, or like certain people. I think it's cool how like kind of welcoming everybody is here, and like everybody's like really cool about, oh, you just send them a message and they're like ready to chat with you and stuff. Like I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Like my experience, like more of the in-person stuff, like even in college, like people are really competitive, and like they don't want to, like, there's almost like a gatekeepery thing that happens, and it doesn't happen on like Instagram or like that other kind of design community, like the online design community, which is like really refreshing actually. So it's cool.
Yeah, I think that one thing about the design community in specific is that everyone is super welcoming, and there's a really collaborative thing happening that everyone would love to chat with each other and talk, versus like, let's say maybe like the influencer spotlight or, you know, other places where it seems really fake and people are really competitive against like what other people are doing versus what they're doing, and getting followers based off of other shit. You know, like that's not what's happening here. And I think that however I've been welcomed to the design community has always been in such a positive way, and being able to have PentoolPals like launch off of that welcomingness is an awesome thing.
For sure. Yeah, the I've never looked at, you know, design as, you know, competition. Like I've always just wanted do something like this, to have conversation, because art should be fun. It shouldn't be something that I want to beat someone at. So that's what I've really loved about Instagram, is just it's a platform to share and connect with other artists, because art is a lonely thing. Let's be real. No one's really going to understand it like we do. And so it's really cool getting to talk to other people and connect. They almost become your pals in a sense. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
You got two puns in one episode.
Bazinga!
On a roll.
Well, Lisa, it's been awesome having you on. Thank you so much for chatting with us and talking us through your design process and your works, and seeing everything you've been doing with both Redhalftone and Entitled Era. I mean, just super awesome to see. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to plug before the end? What are you doing? What projects you have coming up?
Yep.
Where people can find you?
Obviously, everyone can find me at Redhalftone on Instagram. You can check out Untitled Era too if you want to see other stuff besides kind of like the same thing. I usually can't talk too much about like client work that I'm doing because it's like NDAs and stuff, but
yeah,
so that's kind of a bummer. But otherwise, I got some shirts that I'm working on, guys. So
cool.
Chill. They're actually looking pretty good now. Be able to vote on them soon. So
cool.
Check out the stories and stuff soon. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was awesome getting to talk to you, pick your brain, and hear your story a little bit.
For sure. Thanks for having me on. You guys are awesome, and keep doing what you're doing, because I think it's really great for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks for being a pal.
Thank you for being a pal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching episode 11 of PentoolPals. Again, thank you guys for being so involved, being engaged, submitting artwork and all that stuff. It means a lot seeing your constant support for the channel, for the page, for the podcast, being pals of the pod.
Yeah, thank you for being a pal. Cam, thank you for being my pal.
Thank you for being my pal.
Make sure to like, subscribe. We now have all these on our YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe there as well. If you have a preference, either watching on IGTV or on our YouTube channel, the preference is up to you.
Yep. Episodes drop at 6 a.m.
They don't.
Yeah, they do. They drop
do
on
they?
YouTube. They drop at 6 a.m. on YouTube.
I
have it programmed.
You're a wizard, Harry.